Hey everybody, it's Texas Trucker here, Alliance's Performance Shop, LoneStarMopars.com. It is Super Bowl Sunday, believe it or not. Thinking like, cool, what's going on? Well, I couldn't tell you. That is 8:40 at night. I can only assume the game is going on, and quite frankly, I just don't care. There's no storylines pulling me in. It's not that I hate either team. It's just the last several seasons, as games have been put behind more and more paywalls, I've just kind of grown distant to it. And this is like the culmination. It was 70 degrees, like 75, no wind today. What we got for the Super Bowl, we cooked for lunch like early, and it was awesome. And I took advantage of the sunlight. Now, I'm having second thoughts. I literally just cracked the tripod. If I quit holding it, it's going to drop down like that. And right before that happened, about 2-3 minutes, I did that. It doesn't look too bad. I can't zoom in because I've got one hand. If I let go, you're looking at the floor. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and glove that up. And in this case, it's going to be to suppress the flow of blood. But we literally, I've got to one-hand this thing. This is kind of a problem. But we're going to get right to the good stuff. This, yes, it's true, it's in hand. Posted this up, rarely used Instagram for anything. I knew people would be interested in this. Wanted to let you know they're kind of trickling in. Same thing on the YouTube community post. I'm way more active on YouTube. I don't really care about other sites, but it is what it is. This truly is. I made a video about it. One of the big things from SEMA for me, you know, like you had the updated toolboxes and everything, but Icon was coming out with green handled tools. It wasn't a troll, it wasn't anything crazy, it's real. And I picked these up. I saw them, they got added. I check the new tools frequently, and I was like, oh sweet, you know, they actually really did it. And this is clearly the first thing they chose to come out with. And there is a small store that I run to sometimes, and boom, they showed to have them. Of course, went in excited, and guess what's not out, and what the people have no clue what I'm talking about. Look at green mini Pixit. They're like, first girl was like, green? You know, like, you idiot, they don't make that. And luckily, you know, somebody caught them and was like, oh, we got them in the back. They're technically not supposed to be out yet. And the rest is history, right? So sadly, no great deal. These are $19.99. Interestingly, and I apologize in advance for this camera bouncing. I'm literally holding it with a hand that I can't feel my index finger with. But the red set, $21.99. Make it make sense, right? You would assume there's way more volume in production of them. They've been in stock. They've been around for forever. But alas, $2 savings for the brand new green handle. I will take it. Now, that said, here relatively recently, there was like a killer deal on the mini picks. I want to say maybe 50% off. I couldn't get to the store in time, so that is what it is. That's another reason. Like, I'm out here filming this while the Super Bowl is on, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, no, I'll have that ready for Wednesday. And I was like, when? When will I have that ready for Wednesday if I don't go do it now? And the answer is I wouldn't, unless I was out here filming at like 11 and stay up until 4, which I, you know, oftentimes do. But have to take advantage of the time I have. I've been stuck at work. You may not know this because I constantly have a stream of videos, although it is getting shorter, the backlog. Outside of the 10K, if we could ever get to that, I'd start unleashing the snap-on stuff. Never dreamed it would take this long. But I have not actually recorded a video in forever. Work has been insanely busy. We technically like shut down 2 weeks. Christmas and New Year's week, something like that. But I worked. Trying to catch up and do things. And we've had a really, really mild winter, which is super cool. And instead of like getting to take advantage of like 70-degree days in December, January, February, I've been working. And the thing that's lifting me up is the daylight. It's like coming back around. Sun sets at like 6:23-ish or something today. You got waning daylight almost till 7. Puts a little spark back in your life. But something that might put a spark in your life is green handled tools from Icon. I can straight up tell you, unless it was like an emergency situation and I needed a mini pick set, I would never buy the red ones. I have no desire to own them. And this is kind of a big deal for me, this pick set, for 2 reasons. One, I needed one at work. I don't know if this is going to work for me or not. And 2, I have never had an Icon handle. You're thinking like, oh, what are you talking about? Screwdriver guy, you got their freaking screwdriver. No, I don't. I literally do not. There was a time recently the screwdriver set was put on like a really good deal. And I couldn't do it because I knew that they were coming out with green, and I don't want to own the red ones if I'm going to have an opportunity to get green or blue or another color I would like better. I will give them credit for finally doing colors on the Icon line. Something they should have done long ago, in my opinion. And I hope at the very least they do the Icon Toolbox line. They do a fantastic job with US General. Pretty much every color under the rainbow, right? Same thing with the Daytona jacks and the jack stands. Yes, the same store that had these for me had the new metallic green jack out. I thought it looked pretty cool. It's kind of like a toxic sewer green, you know, if you're into that sort of a thing. Looks way better than the description I just gave you. But you're either going to like sort of like the bright green like this, or you're like, oh, that metallic's killer. And it was out there on display too. My apologies, didn't snag a picture of it. But they do such a great job on the colors on some aspects. The earthquake impact, you can get all the colors. I don't know if green is a test bed. Obviously Icon, you've got red boxes, black boxes, green boxes, and blue boxes. They really wouldn't have to do much. I've pushed for this for years. Plier handles, ratchet handles, even if it's like special order type of a thing. So it was really cool to see them finally do this. Took them a long time. As best I know, these, the full-size picks, and then screwdrivers should all be coming out with a green handle. One of the reasons I haven't jumped on more of the Gen 2 ratchets, I don't want to own red ones if green is an option. This is where the Max 90, which I'll throw this in as bonus content for you, geez, 2-ish weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, my Mac guy texted me out of the blue, and he's like, hey man, just got word at Tool Fair, Mac's gonna announce yellow and purple handles for the Max 90. I was like, sweet. So for those of you that want your purple handles, you got used to the Axis limited edition stuff for Mac, right? I guess this Tool Fair, which I guess is this week, if I'm thinking right, sometime around Valentine's Day, they will go public and have yellow and purple available. So if you want to see that stuff, let me know. I could see if I could bum some or get them cheap. He's probably ordered them, at least the purple one for me. The yellow I'm actually kind of interested in. If it's like old school yellow and not high vis. I like high vis, but I think old school yellow would look really cool. Also get filthy, but look cool. So they're kind of progressing, at least in the right way. But the thing for me personally, I've never held an Icon handle. And so this could be the gateway to being like, hey, you know, that's not too bad, or hey, that sucks. I hate it. Maybe full size would be better. That's going to be the knock here. If I like these, I have to speculate like, oh, if it was even bigger, it would be better. Or yeah, I don't know. You know, I might not like it. So we'll take it in stride. But $19.99, they should be rolling out. I will also tell you, the guy that pulled these from the back for me, super nice, but he said they barely got any of them. So think about the Hercules die grinder, which that's a video I've actually recorded, but I've never gotten time to edit it. Apologies there. But I assume if you want these, you'd want to kind of keep tabs on your store, and hopefully you have like a good contact there or something and get in on them. I don't know if they're going to restock fast, or this is going to be a deal where you see that and you're like, I love that, I've got to get it. And then you're going to be waiting for months before they restock. Honestly, don't know. That said, the Icon part number is going to be KMS 400G. That means basically nothing. You're going to want the SKU on the backside. But this is the Professional Precision Soft Grip pick and hook set. I was kind of surprised they didn't have knurling on these. I thought that would sort of set them apart maybe from like some of the Pittsburgh sets. So many people probably over the years have tons of sets of the orange handled Pittsburghs, right? It used to be the free giveaways. But coming down, I mean, packaging's nice. Icon typically does a really good job with that. You get a straight, which they're going to call the all, a hook, a 45, a 90, lifetime guarantee. I don't know if they're going to cover. What happens to me with mini picks, I constantly ball the end. I'm hoping that that will be covered. So if you want to see these in hand in person, I do timestamps. Take advantage of it if you're so inclined. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy. So, selling points. Ergonomic soft grip handles provide increased comfort and control while resisting most shop solvents. I'm sure somebody's tested that. Again, these picks have been out a long time. Used for scribing, alignment, O-ring removal, piercing holes, and cleaning. O-ring removal if you don't plan to reuse the O-ring maybe, but I would not advocate for using a pick. I would get a spoon. More on that later. Stainless steel blade, that's cool for rust prevention. So there's your 90, the all, or what I'm just going to refer to as straight, the hook, and the 45. This right here, for those of you nerds who want to stock your local store, 73153. That's what you're going to need. Now, I legitimately don't know. I was not counting on my tripod breaking, so I'm just going to get these opened up. I can't hold this and cut the packaging. My apologies. I will hold off pulling the tray out as best I can so you get an honest first reaction from me. Oh boy, I tell you, the difficulty of really needing that third hand. There they come. I'm looking through the camera with you. I'll get them off to the side where I can take them in. My first reaction through the camera, they are brighter than anticipated. If you're curious what this is, oh, that laser tip on the Vera really helps grab the cardboard. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. That is way brighter than I thought it was going to be. You know, just since the Vera is here, I realize there's the plastic lid, which is cool. But yeah, this is kind of, I don't want to say high-vis green. Or there's staples, there's tape. You've got to be kidding me. 1 second. Yeah, I don't know if it's the battery light, the bleeding finger, the broken tripod. I cut the tape, and of course it didn't cut to where the lid would come off, so I just spared you that. But yeah, we're finally inside the little simple thing. And I will tell you, the tray, if you want to use this long term, my advice, do what I've done in the past, spray foam it. Kind of nice, honestly, to have the picks in the tray. It doesn't take up a ton more space than required, which is sort of nice with this one. But I have not handled these. I haven't picked them up. I'm going to go straight for this guy. Okay, there it is in hand. I really wish I could show you my glove. 1 second. I'm telling you, if I let go of this camera, it's dropping down. So this is not the best color comparison, but see how there's kind of more of a true green in the Icon. The Alphas, which this is a pretty clean pair, they're sort of like a lime high-vis, if you will. This is kind of more of a true green. It's not dark green by any stretch of the imagination. I'll get you some other green tools here in a second. But it is a little bit truer of a green than, say, the high-vis on the Alphas. So, felt fine in hand. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. All right. There is very subtle, and boy, I won't be able to zoom in at all for you, but kind of right here, you've probably seen it on the packaging. There's very subtle ribbing on that. That is quite nice. Typically with picks, you're either bearing down on something and snap it, or you're sort of daintily holding the thing. Icon is only on one side. Do they roll? Surprisingly not. This mat, not the best test of anti-roll, but it looks like they're fairly decent if you drop things down. There's no marking on the end cap. That's kind of unfortunate. Not a huge deal, especially with a mini pick, but I gotta say, they don't look terrible. Now again, no knurling at all. It's stainless. It seems to have a nice finish. We're gonna test flexion here with the long one. I know that's moving and you're like, oh, gasp, what a piece of junk. You kind of want that. You don't want something that's so frail it's going to break. You don't want something that's so fragile you can bend it, right? You want something that's got a little flex to it. This actually seems decent. Again, time will tell. I can't sit here and review something we've just opened up. But I do have to say, I like them. So far, initial impression, everything seems good in the hood. Straight, which is a big deal for me. You get your 45, you get the kick out there, and then we've got the 90. Almost every pick set I ever use, straight and 90 degree seems to be the most frequently utilized. Now, while we're on the topic of green, we've got the Vera here, just kind of a color contrast. I'll go straight for the 3K here. This, of course, you should be familiar with Stahlwille green. These are fantastic, very unique drivers, but obviously the Stahlwille is going to be more of a truer green than the Icon. Icon sort of walks that line, I would say. If you had high-vis green and green, I'm going to say it's closer to high-vis, but it's more like in the middle. Hopefully that conveys for you. But I do have some other things we'll compare you for, which is going to be really hard to get to now, sadly. So, right here, this is probably still my most used pick set at work, you might have guessed. I bought two. They are these two. I use the straight one all the time. My straight one at work has a balled over end. I use it for something totally different. It's for pulling clips. This one, again, one-handed and zooming, not good. If you were to run your hand right where I'm running my thumb and index finger, you can feel it. I have balled the end of this. I balled my first one and the second one de-pinning things. So probably not the best tool for it, but it works very well. It doesn't care that it balls up. You can grind it off if you want to. It just basically tips, you know, like the straight tip just gets kicked and you ball, and then you can just grind off and go to town. But comparing these, there is the true Stahlwille green versus the Icon. And oh, this is going to be so hard one-handed. Let's just try to do it this way. Again, Stahlwille is going to be slightly longer on the handle. I think the overall length is going to be very close. Again, very hard to do this for a guy one-handed. The Stahlwille, not that anyone cares, but they do kind of maintain A, the tri-lobe, and B, they do have size markings. If you did have a stand or a magnetic holder and you put these in place, you could be like, oh, there's my straight one. Me personally, I have them aligned. I kind of just know like straight is on the left all the time, and I go to town that way. But if you have the Stahlwille pick set, the Icon is going to be very, very similar, albeit, you know, less money. So if I turn now and grab this, you've got Witte, right? White. I'm going to come in. These are quite nice. I actually have, it's really cool what I've done. The Stahlwilles are in, we'll just say Toolbox 1 for wiring. These are in the toolbox beside this for general use. And what I want to get as a comparison for you is just the size. I would consider these Witts to be mini. Again, looks like the Icon has a longer shaft. The Witte is going to have a longer handle. Again, it's kind of up to you. You've sort of got to explore and see what you like, what you find works best. Oftentimes with the picks, it's going to come down to comfort in hand, and two, and perhaps more importantly, how well do they perform, right? Do the ends ball up super fast? Do they last forever? Do they fit what you're doing the best? Right here, this somehow always winds up, this is like my first like bigger pick set, right? You know, just not total junk. Performance tool from AutoZone, probably sometime in the mid to late 90s is when I would have bought this. I didn't really use the small ones as often as I used the bigger ones. However, I'm getting you that same comparison here. And interestingly enough, that does have knurling. Also interestingly, I don't often use that. So they kind of follow the same pattern. It looks to be the exact same length of the shaft, slightly longer handle. So the Icons seem to be coming up on the short side. Again, that could be a good thing, bad thing. I'd say pretty average here. Sort of cylindrical with squared off edges as opposed to some of the others. The Witte handle, the Stahlwille handle, obviously going to have a tri-lobe, just much more pronounced in your blue and black versus your green and black. So my most recent mini picks are going to be right here. And they are from Mac. This is a straight one. I have not used it much. I used that one, oddly enough, the most. It's a weird shape I didn't have. Getting a quick comparison, as best I could guess, these would be made by Mayhew. You can see the shaft diameter looks to be a bit thicker. End to end here, that is super close. And then, as you might have guessed, the Mac, just ever so subtly longer. Now, while these are nice and they do follow the Mac grip contours, it's sort of more like just a hard plastic. It doesn't have as nice of a handle as this Mac grip iteration. And I bring this out for good reason. The Icon pick set in the longer length does not have a straight. right? It's got everything else. It's got hose pullers and pluckers and all kinds of things, but it doesn't have a long awl. I bring that up because I told you I was actually needing this at work. What I've run into is I'm needing these to kind of tuck in and check some grease down some very anemically small extension tubes that have been switched to for reasons I'll never understand, aside from some idiotic bean counter somewhere, I'm sure. I could not. This would be a perfect length. I mean, I wouldn't need anywhere near this long, just probably like 60-75% would be sufficient, but this is a beefcake comparatively in terms of the OD of the shaft. It is going to be too big for said tube, right? The extension. This will fit beautifully. I know my Stahlwille fits beautifully. What happens though, I hit the end of the road right here and the tip of this is still in the tube, or maybe, you know, like the run out threaded portion of the end bell, and I'm needing to get farther in to probe around for grease. So if Icon had the green handle, the longer pick set, probably would have picked it up. Well, I probably wouldn't have actually, because it's missing that pick. This is something I think Icon needs to make, perhaps as a standalone tool, perhaps packaged with this out so a guy could get his hands on it and say, hey, that is a nice handle, I like it, I will buy the screwdrivers, the nut drivers, etc. Why companies do that, I don't know. This Mac one is super nice for that reason, and I don't want it to be thinner. It's great, it's super strong. However, I can't do that simple task I'm needing to do. All my screwdrivers in this new and improved, air quoting that loosely, extension tube, you guessed it, they're too big on the OD, which is unfortunate. Now, coming in, I would like to see Icon do this, again, as a standalone, since they already have the set, and as I mentioned, that's a great gateway for people. You have somebody buy the straight poker picker, all, whatever you want to call it, whatever they're doing with it, probing, scratching, and scribing, I don't care. That gives them a taste of the handle, the ecosystem, and they're like, you know, hey, that thing's held up great. I'm going to get the mini pick set. You know, they're on sale this week for 40% off. All right. Now, the thing, though, that I would be way more excited about, and I think Icon definitely needs to do, is this, right? These are OEM, and these are spoons. Yes, you can get O-rings out with any of these, and you can probably salvage it, right? But most people are going to poke either A, the O-ring, or scratch the surface that the O-ring relies upon to seal. Bad things happen when either one of those scenarios is broached, quite literally. That's why the spoon is nice. You can come in, you're not going to scratch. You still can, and you can still cut an O-ring, right? You can pierce one, but you're far less likely to do it. This handle profile of the Icon mini pick set would be absolutely perfect for some spoons. This is the long handle iteration. You've kind of got subtly shorter, right? You can kind of feel here. And guess who this would be in direct competition with? Not necessarily OEM, yes, that would be a thing too, but Snap-on has mini picks, and Snap-on has spoons. Mac, it's very hard to get them. I had my driver going to order me some, and they're like an older handle, I think like the red squarish handle. I've like tried twice. I've come back empty both times. But I think this would be a killer addition if people had access to O-ring spoons, right, for $20. I think people are going to buy that. The downside with the Snap-on, I'm sure they're great, but you're looking at like, what, 65 if I had to guess? Maybe you get a deal, it's like 50-ish or something. That's a lot of money for an O-ring spoon, especially for the average DIY guy, right? So take this Icon handle, if these hold up well, and put the spoon end on them. That's something that needs to be in the catalog. It would complement these. People are going to pick them up, buy them. Specialty tool at a lower price. It's a win-win. Now, what I want to know from you and where you can come in is on two fronts. Number one, how have the Icon mini picks and picks held up? Sometimes this can be a situation where you might hate Mac's mini picks. They ball up, you can't stand them, but they're long, full-size stuff, killer. Icon could be the same way. If you've got the Icons, what are you comparing them to? Did you have the Snap-ons? Did you have some Mayhews? Did you have Lyle or Astro, which, by the way, both make excellent lower priced alternatives for hose pullers, right? Hose puller, kind of the same concept as an O-ring spoon, you know, that way you're not going to just tear through your radiator hose. Let's say it's like a brand new hose and the water pump junked out again because it's, you know, reman junk. You can salvage at least the radiator hose, right, by not poking holes in it, right? So certain places you can poke holes, but, you know, certain areas you can't. So I think that would be really nice to see. Ultimately with this, I've just got to get some seat time with them. I do have to say, for the money, getting the storage tray, the color, I think they're pretty nice. Now again, if I use them and they suck, if they ball up, if they break, if they bend, I'll quickly modify my initial impression here. But out of the box, on the bench, not too shabby. The green shading here, very, very similar to OEM. I probably bought these at AutoZone if I had to guess. The Icon might be slightly better. I think it's a little bit more true. This is more like high-vis highlighter of a hue. The Stahlwille is just so aesthetically pleasing, that green color, at least in my opinion. That said, hey, if you're doing this in an automotive setting or maybe like a dark shop somewhere, there is a benefit to the high-vis, and it comes from the literal sense of it's bright, you'll see it, right? So that's what we got there. Again, your thoughts and opinions. I want to know how they hold up, and two, what do you think of the green? I know the green tool people, you know, they'll go out and they'll buy a set. They'll junk their others, give them to a friend, sell them, whatever. But for everyone else, if you don't have these yet, you going to go red? You going to go green? Or you said, hey, wait, hold up. If they did green, are they going to do blue? I might go that route. I want to know your thoughts there. That said, if the camera doesn't die, and I am not bleeding through the glove yet, so that's good, I've got some bonus action coming right up. All right, totally not how I would have done this, but again, due to a broken tripod, a maimed finger, I've gone ahead and done this. Now, I should say, $19.99 was the price, but what if I told you I got them for free? And you're thinking like, oh, special privilege sent out from Harbor Freight, he's stupid YouTube. No. People don't send me tools. They don't want to see me compare them, I guess, to things that might be better. Who knows? But this was actually a gift from my mom. That's right. I had a birthday recently, something my mom and I started doing years back, you know, like when I was a teenager. It was like, you know, birthday time comes around and she's like, well, you know, let's go shopping and see if we can find anything you think would be neat. And back in the day, you know, that was like CDs, maybe a video game or something. More recently, it's been tools. And we've been so busy, you know, we kind of didn't really get to cash in on that. And here, a couple of weeks later, ran into the harbor, and boom. I actually was just like content with the mini picks, and then she saw this sitting on the display, and she was like, well, that's really cool. It looks just like those. And she was like, I want to get that for you. And well, I can't say no. Interestingly, the price on these has dropped to $18.99. That's not a sale price either. I feel terrible. Even if it's a birthday gift, I want to wait for that discount, right? But $18.99 for this. I've got the blue one. I've had it for forever. I threw it in maybe in the Icon box, which that was something tied in with my birthday last year. Not from anyone else. That was me. And 25% off, that was like a really good deal. I told Harbor Freight people all the time, no, I'm not going to do ITC until there's like a huge discount on Icon lockers. And man of my word, it expired. Did I renew it? No. Will I renew it? If there's a 25% off. The sad thing with ITC, in my opinion, I can't get to the store. Like, they close too early for somebody that actually works. I know there's a lot of people that, I don't know if they have jobs or they just like are bums and film stuff all day at home or something. I have to work. I'm at work before Harbor Freight opens, and I'm typically getting off work sometime around the time Harbor Freight closes. I have to drive. I'm not in some megalopolis, right? I can't get there. I can't go off on the lunch hour. That's when freight trucks always show up. Guess who drives the forklift? That's this guy. So did I get much out of the ITC? I'd actually say I did, because the few weekends I could go, there was usually something that was needed. I don't film everything I buy, obviously. A lot of the work stuff, you know, I don't have time to film it all. So just cashing in on like rivet guns or 20% off something here and there, Probably pays for itself. Not a huge deal. You can usually get by with the standard stuff, but biggest sale I've seen on these, they were what, like $12 or $14.99, but regardless, they're pretty cool. They work great for like pins, little tools, things like that. Maybe like if you had a bunch of fuses, fasteners, terminals, there's all kinds of options. People have 3D printed stuff. That's something I should really do. I have so many ideas for it, but opening it up and then check out that bottom drawer and you're like, hey man, you should have put your picks in there. You know, that's probably what your mom had in mind. Boom. I put them in the bottom because I figured they'd fit there. They actually fit even with the lid in the top drawer, so pretty swanky. I would assume if you really wanted to, you're not going to be able to shut the case, right, in the top hutch, if you will. I think the tool itself would fit. In fact, we'll try to test it. Again, I'm literally having to hold the camera up this whole time. But if you wanted to like rig up some sort of like a wrench pro type of a thing, let's get this turned for the OCD crowd. They would also probably, yeah, that's going to work just fine. But picture, if you will, obviously the big picks aren't going to fit if they did make those in green. But if they had the spoons, yeah, that would be pretty sweet, right? So shout out to my mom. I don't deserve the woman. She's too nice. But yeah, this was a gift from her. So the Icon pick set and the little green US General toolbox. And I can't complain. I think it's going to be pretty cool. And the sad thing, that makes this becomes something, you know, it's like sort of special because it was a gift, but I'll still use it. They've claimed they've got a lifetime warranty. We'll see. If you have broken any of these, full size or minis, what has the process been like? Is it like, hey, bring the whole set, idiot, we're going to swap them? Is your store just like, hey, you broke your straight one again, here you go? You got to stop doing that, buddy. Is it effortless, painless, whatever it might be? Feel free to let me know. It also was a free item weekend, and this is a really big stretch, but I cashed in with, you guessed it, the magnetic bar. You never have too many of those. You can pry the magnets out and do other things with them. Sky's the limit. But yeah, so big thanks to my mom. You know, like I said, birthday came and went, but yeah, I knew it would happen at some point in time, and it did. And it just so happened we snagged these. When I got those, I don't have time to be on Instagram or anything, right? I hadn't seen anything on YouTube. I went to Instagram, went to YouTube and looked. I hadn't seen anyone else with them. I'm sure when I post, somebody's gonna like run out, you know, and try to get them. You know, be the first. That's a big thing to people. I don't really care, but still, getting these a couple years back, I got the Icon pliers. You know, I knew they were coming out, and we got them on my birthday. That was kind of cool. So I'll chalk it up as a win. But yeah, it's hard to believe. About a year ago, that's when we ordered the Icon stuff. So still messing with that, still trying to recover from it. But just know I've got some really cool stuff. Like, I've done some really cool stuff, and I think you're gonna like it. I just need time to film it and edit it and upload it. And if we get to 10K, I'll sprinkle the snap-on stuff in. Some of that was like really cool and relevant at the time. I recorded it in like 2023. And, some of them have just been sitting there marinating, I'll tell you. Some of them are relatively newer, but it is what it is. Again, recap, things you may want to know about yellow and purple. You heard it here first a couple days ago, hopefully. The Max 90 ratchet handles coming. It's about it. These, again, should be hitting your store if you want them. You know, you might like tell someone, hopefully you're a regular or something, and they know you, and you know, you're not gonna like hawk them on eBay or something. It's like, oh, we got to get Randy's green picks. I was told limited quantities. I've seen that before. I will say the Hercules die grinder that I still haven't edited the video on, those seem to be staying in stock now, so that's good. But with that said, I'm tired of holding the camera, and I've been doing that with my bloodied finger over here. So I'm assuming the Super Bowl might be over. It was 9-0 at halftime. I did check the score on my phone, and that was a very fitting thing that made me no more interested in what was going on. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts again on the picks, the green color, if you're going to hold out for blue now. Would we see orange or gray with Icon? I don't know, because they don't offer those. There's more colors offered in the US General line, right? So I would expect blue could be a thing, maybe black, a murdered out thing. I don't know if that's as likely. I think some people would dig it and buy it just because it doesn't show dirt. I feel like blue needs to happen as well. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, I don't have inside information. They don't send me anything. They don't tell me anything. It is what it is, right? And one more thing, like the flyers that I always talk about, you know, I'm like, is that what people want to see? It is not a leaked flyer if it's in the store, right? If I can walk in and they put it in the bag when I check out, like, that's not a leak. Just, I feel like somebody has to say that. But anyway, I'm going to get back inside, have myself some chocolate. I don't have to work out tonight. It's Sunday. Might do it anyway. But pretty cool stuff here. I'll have to see how they hold up. I don't know until I use them, but they look nice. The tray seems decent. The good news is they're so light, you might not have to film that. I would do it just out of precaution. If you have a really cool way of storing these, leave a comment down below. Similarly, if you've been pimping out US General mini boxes with your 3D printer, feel free to tell people about that. Again, you can do some pretty cool stuff with these, but the mini picks, if they made O-ring spoons, this would be like really cool for that. Obviously bit sets, maybe quarter drive stuff. Lots of options. Again, have some fun with it. Let me know your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed. Hope everybody's enjoying the Super Bowl. Man, my barbecue was good. Like, oh man, that was some good stuff. Won't go into it too much. Got to get inside. And with that said, hope everything's going well for everybody. I will expedite this video, so you should be seeing this Wednesday. I'll go make myself edit it and upload it with my archaically slow internet. Hope everyone's doing well, and rest assured, there is some really cool stuff I've got coming your way. I just need time to make it all happen. So, with that said, thanks for watching. LoneStarMopars.com is a website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, jump your Charger across the creek, crash down, hear your orange. Anyone? US General mini toolbox clanking around in the trunk. YouTube just might notify you we got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope I catch you back here for more action from the shop. One last bonus thing, mainly because I forgot to film it because I've been holding the camera right here. This is the old performance tool. This is not a mini pick that's full size, but the reason it's nice that the Icon has a stainless finish shaft and not something with a cheap coating that you often see on cheap picks and tools is that this might not be a big deal depending on what you're doing. If you're down here pulling cotter pins, it doesn't matter at all. But if you're doing something in an area that doesn't need flakes of black paint or whatever cheap coating it is coming off and entering an orifice, this is what can happen with bad, cheap tools. The stainless shaft will completely eliminate that. Whether they hold up or not, I don't know yet, but you won't have this stuff flaking off and dropping down. So there we go. Final bonus, my nephew's Super Bowl prediction was 30-6. It was 29-7, he says, until the Pats got a garbage time TD. So I'll give him credit for being super close. And what a trooper this tripod has been. You can see where the plastic cracked right before filming, which is why that thing is just tilting down. Obviously with the weight of a camera it'd be terrible. I did so many car shows, dyno sessions, you name it. Lots of memories with this thing. Maybe I'll be able to repair it. Maybe I'll just bust out. I've got another tripod, luckily. It's just way bigger and heavier, but yeah. Index finger, tripod, lame Super Bowl, cool tools. Thanks, Mom.